What's up, guys? It's your boy once again, Mthokozisi. Welcome back to the show, guys. To those that are coming for the first time, once again, thank you very much for doing so. I've been missing you guys, man. I'm back now. I'm back at it again, guys. Today I want to cover these developments, guys. In this country, a lot is happening, man. This thing of Marsh and Marsh, featuring the likes of Ngizwe Mchunu, Bophakela Umthakathi, guys, the Zulu tribe, moving from all the way from KZN to Eastern Cape, East London, guys, in solidarity and support for, to support the closer guys there, in East London, who were marching against the alleged coronation of Igbo king from Nigeria. It is alleged, guys, that this guy from Nigeria, some Nigerians in East London have come together to coronate, a king, an Igbo king, of which upon this rival, these protests, all these uprisings, guys, it is said that the Commission of Nigeria, the Nigerian Commission, has rejected this thing as a coronation, guys. They say this thing was not a coronation, it was just a cultural practice. Guys, where I want to start, I'm rushing this program, guys. Let me try to, lower the pace, man. Guys, firstly, I am a Zulu guy from KZN, guys. But I'm against this thing of violence, man. Incitement of violence, I'm against it. This target of fellow Africans, I'm also against it. But I'm also against illegal immigration in this country. I think the government must do something to solve this thing. But also I'm against vigilantism, man. This thing of people taking the law into their own hands, I'm against it, guys. I'm for law and order. The government's failure to do its job must not lead to people take the law into their own hands. And this target of fellow African people, I'm against it, guys. For some reasons, I'll break it down for you. Guys, if I just give you a brief history, for those that don't know the history of this country. This country, guys, the East India Company is the one that invaded this country in 1652. For those that have forgotten, and for those that don't know, just to share a bit of a history, guys. East India Company from Europe invaded this country, South Africa. Upon invading this country, they chased away African people from their own land. They call it a discovery of gold, our mineral resources. So they relocated all Africans, man. Most Africans lost their land, So, guys, fast forward. South African natives, guys, were not allowed to participate in political and economic you know, activities in this country. Black Africans were denied an opportunity to participate in economic and political activities. You know, all these things, the arrival of these people, the British, you know, all these people from Europe, it led to the introduction of apartheid, guys. You know, where people were set apart along racial lines. Most Africans, all Africans were, you know, victims of apartheid, guys. You know, people were segregated along racial lines. This is just a brief history, guys, of this country. The real people who introduced, you know, apartheid and who colonized this country were people from the Europe. You know, but I don't want to prolix, guys, because most of you know this history. It's just for those who have forgotten. All I want to say, guys, is this. The real invaders of this country, you know, the real people who took the economy of this country are those who came from Europe. You know, just a brief, a disclaimer, guys. I told you in one of my videos that this is not a racial channel. If you are looking for a channel that preaches race, this is the wrong channel. This is not racism, guys. It is just, you know, the true history of this country. You know, I just want to remind you guys, the real people who invaded this land, South Africa. You know, people who took Africans or black people's land is those who came from Europe, guys. You know, so fast forward, these people, after introduction of apartheid, guys, you know, it's only in 1994 that all South Africans, you know, especially Africans, were allowed to vote. You know, upon introduction of democratic, you know, democratic government in this country, only in 1994, dating from 1652, you can count how many years, up until 1994, that's the only time Africans were allowed to vote, to participate in political activities, guys. You know, so all the land that black people, Africans in particular, all those were dispossessed of their land, guys. Most, you know, most of them have not, that land have not been returned to the lawful owners. You know, they have not received their land. This is to say, about 87% of the land in this country, guys, is still in the hands of the descendants of the colonizers. You know, so I'm saying this to say, guys, you know, this thing that these guys of Marsh and Marsh, you know, and our Operation Tutula that they are doing, you know, claiming that they are fixing the country, they are dealing with illegal immigration in this country. You know, for me, guys, this is just a misdirection and a distraction. This is a distraction, guys. The reason we are poor is not because of illegal African immigrants. The reason we are landless is not because of illegal African immigrants. The reason we are where we are today, you know, we are unemployed, is not mainly because of fellow Africans, guys. This is what I want to say, man. You know, I understand the frustration and the anger of these guys from Marsh and Marsh. You know, I'm not claiming that these people are wrong by trying to fix our country in dealing with illegal immigration, guys. But when we look at it in a broader sense, you know, what these people are doing is just to deal with symptoms. They are not dealing with the real problem or the real cause of a problem, guys. You know, to me, the real people these people should be dealing with are people who invaded this country, people who colonized this country, you know, the real settlers, guys, the real people who caused people to dispossessed or to be dispossessed of their land. You know, people who caused poverty in this country. You know, people who invaded this country. I think those are people they should be dealing with. This energy that these guys have, you know, from Marsh and Marsh, I think is misdirected, guys. But this is just my opinion. This is not to attack these guys, man. You know, everyone has a right to raise their opinion, man. You know, and I think we must agree to disagree, guys. These guys moved all the way from KZN to, you know, Eastern Cape to challenge this thing of coronation of a Nigerian, so-called Nigerian king in East London. You know, guys, firstly, I have high regard for all traditional leaders in this country. You know, but guys, this energy, you know, this reason that you use to go and do what you did at East London, you know, in Eastern Cape, in East London, you know, guys, it's just a misdirection and a distraction, man. There are a lot of problems that are facing this country. Instead of dealing with all these problems, we are just, you know, distracting ourselves by fighting the symptoms instead of fighting real problems. You know, if I may ask, guys, because I know you South Africans, especially these radical ones, you know, those who are fighting, who are claiming to be fighting against illegal immigrants in this country, you know, most of them, if I may ask, guys, why there's so much energy in dealing with Africans who are illegal immigrants in this country? What about other races? If I may ask, guys, because again, I know you like to fight for something that even if you were to achieve that thing, it's not going to change your situation, man. You know, let me start from this so-called coronation of that king in East London. Guys, what are you going to achieve from fighting that guy who were doing a so-called coronation in East London? Tell me what are you going to achieve, really? You know, because it is alleged that this guy has claimed the land. I know these traditional people will say, "Aye, this guy, you know, you don't understand, because this person, by coronating this guy, now is going to become a king. It means the taking of the land." You know, this again, guys, is not to say if indeed these guys, what they were doing is a coronation of that king from, you know, that so-called king from Nigeria. If they did that, it is wrong. I don't agree with it, guys. Please don't misconstrue what I'm saying. If this guy from Nigeria moved to East London, you know, to be coronated by his Igbo nation in that land, East London, a land which belongs to South Africa, a land where already there is a king. You know, that is invasion. It is wrong. I don't agree with it. You know, they made a blunder. These Nigerian guys, it was wrong what they did. Very wrong, man. Even me, as a Zulu guy, guys, I cannot go to Eastern Cape where there is already an existing king to get my friends to coronate me as a king. It will be wrong. You know, despite me being a South African, if I can move to any province to get coronated by a group of people, you know, to portray me as a king of that province, in existence of that king, that will be invasion. That will be wrong. It is illegal, guys. It doesn't make sense. You know. This is all I'm saying. If they did that, it is wrong. But now it comes out that no, these people were merely practicing a cultural, you know, their cultural, you know, customs, it was just a cultural practice. You know, it was not something that was legally to recognize that guy as a king, according to those who represent Nigerian embassy. You know, but guys, even if we were to say, okay, these guys are now trying to defend this thing after seeing outrage from the public, they are lying. This thing was a coronation. Okay, let's say it was indeed a coronation of that king, guys. You know. But again, guys, this energy that you guys have, why don't you use that energy against the real colonizers of this country, man? A lot has happened in this country. You know. People have died in this country for land. Till today, they have not achieved that land. Till today, we are excluded from the mainstream economy. You know. But now this anger, you know, it's easy to challenge these people who are Africans. This is all I'm saying. But why it is too hard to challenge these ones of other races? Why it is easy to challenge these ones? I just imagine if this guy who was coronated there, even if it was a coronation, if that guy was a white guy, I just imagine, guys, where these guys from Marsh and Marsh going to go to East London to challenge that white guy. I doubt, guys. I doubt if they're going to go there. If it was a white man. You know. This is not to say I'm tracking this thing or I'm playing race card here. No, I'm not playing a race card. I'm just putting the facts. What you guys did there, you know, in simple terms, I will put it, man. As a Zulu guy, I'm not proud of what you did there, guys. Right now, most of these political parties have Action SA, you know, and Umkhonto Wesizwe, they are starting to distance themselves from this violence that happened there. Despite your march being accepted as a legal march. But what you did there, guys, is embarrassing, man. You know, I understand. We heard that this thing, there is a Nigerian guy who stabbed one of the marshals there. This is not to say it was a good thing to do. It was wrong. But I think, guys, there was a simple way that we would have, you know, deal with that issue. You know, why didn't you catch that guy who stabbed this one of the marshals there? Again, this is lack of order by the organizers of that march. I think next time you guys, when you organize a march, you know, when you mobilize people, because this thing of violence, you know, is not a surprise. We know that is going to happen. So next time, when these organizers of this march, these people need to put the queue marshals, man. People who are going to monitor, you know, and prevent people from looting people's shops. People who are going to prevent violence. Why don't you arrange the queue marshals? People who will wear reflectors, you know, who will go alongside the marshals, man. The marshals will go in between. And then these people who are queue marshals will be monitoring the, you know, will be monitoring the situation, guys. You think if there were queue marshals there, people with reflectors who are there to control this thing, this guy, this hooligan who just stepped a marshal, this thing was going to happen? I don't think it was going to happen, man. Next time, please, guys, do it better. If you are going to do any march that you do, make sure that you put measures in place to prevent such things. You know. Because this is embarrassing, man. Imagine this thing is watched worldwide. You know. What does it say to the reputation of this country? How investors are going to come and invest in this country already? Let's forget about African investors, guys. African foreign investors to come to South Africa to invest. Don't even count Africans, guys. You know, they are rich people, guys, who are Africans, who would like to come and invest in South Africa so that there will be creation of jobs. So by this display of, you know, this behavior, guys, you know, this display of violence, how that person is going to come and invest in South Africa as an African foreigner, tell me. You know, this is an embarrassment, man. One is your failure to, you know, organize this march, you know, to make sure that you prevent any attack, guys, you know, and to make sure that you control your own marshals from looting people's shops, you know, from insulting people, from inciting violence. I'm talking to organizers of this march, man, the leaders, you know. Number two, after this thing has happened, after your failure to make arrangement, guys, after this thing has happened, the action that you took to prevent it, instead you retaliate by doing what? The masses. Your failure to control the masses. After this guy was attacked by that hooligan, you start to burn, you know, the people's shops into ashes, the people's vehicles, you know, because you are displaying anger. A justification is that no, people were angry. They were triggered by someone who stepped one marshal, you know, and this other one who hit the other one with a car. You know, these two incidents are incidents that you know caused this loss that happened in East London. People losing their buildings, people losing their vehicles, you know. And you are claiming that you are fighting Nigerians. But the loss, the people who lost their possessions there, their assets, is not only Nigerians. There are a lot of people who lost their things, man. Ethiopians, you know, even South Africans. It was very painful what I saw on YouTube, man. When one of South Africans who lost his car, and that guy was saying it doesn't even have an insurance. You know, that guy is just a side hustler. He's not in full-time employment. How that guy is going to recover? A South African. You know, there are many South Africans who lost their assets there, man. And this idea that, guys, when there is a protest, when people demonstrate in the streets, you know, to voice their frustration, you know, or their dissatisfaction, the idea that People must now loot, must do wrong things. I don't know where to get it from, man. You know, because it is wrong. The laws of this country allow people to protest. Doing demonstration is not wrong, you know. But this thing of looting, you can do better, man. You must stop it, you masses. You know. But I re-emphasize, guys. Please, you organizers of this march, next time, make sure that you monitor the masses, man. You put measures in place to monitor the masses. Masses must not do this thing of embarrassing us, man. As South Africans were viewed by world as these people who are violent, man. You know. These people who are primitive. We are not, it's like now we are not civilized. It's like we live in the Stone Age. Whenever we march, there must be violence. Whenever we march, someone must be injured. You know? Whenever we march, someone must die. Why? We can do better, man. We must stop this thing, man. Please, put measures in place as organizers of a march to make sure that there are people who monitor the situation. Number 3, I'm going to, you know, go to this, the police, you know, because all this thing is also caused by the failure of the police to do their job. The police in this country are useless, man. Where is crime intelligence, guys? Where is crime intelligence in this country? Does it exist or it doesn't exist? The crime intelligence. Do we have crime intelligence, guys? People who would have foreseen that this is what is going to happen, and then would have put measures in place to prevent these things from happening. Where were the police? I saw one police van in that protest. Didn't they know this thing that it was going to happen, man? That it was going to happen? Because we knew that the violence was going to erupt there. What are the police doing? Why the police of this country are so useless, man? The crime intelligence. What are they doing? These guys are not doing their job, man. You know, who didn't know that there was going to be violence there? Who didn't know that? You want to tell me that the crime intelligence didn't know? Every time the police will show up, you know, with proactive measures. Every time they are reactive. I mean, they are not proactive, these people. Every time they must react in a situation. Every time. Why? Why the police didn't put measures in place to prevent these things from happening? You know, because it is also the job. Where is the POP? Public order policing. Where are those guys? People injure each other. You know, people confront each other. Other people sweat, other people, you know. Where are the police, guys? Do we have the police in this country? You see, we don't have the policemen. This country is run like it is run by primitive people who are not civilized, men. It's like we don't have government, man. Because the police should have been there. Not just to expect to react. We need the police that will be proactive in terms of preventing such things like this from happening, man. Because this is a disgrace, guys. You know, this thing that every time when South Africans are angry, they take to the streets, demonstrating. You know, in demonstrating, you're going to see arson attacks. You're going to see the burning of, you know, destruction of infrastructure. You know, the poisoning of people's vehicles. Why? Our crime intelligence is useless, man. Our police are useless. They should have done better. They should have prevented this thing from happening. You know. They didn't monitor the situation. It's like we don't have police in this country. They didn't prevent this thing from happening. You know, when it happened, they didn't solve it. You know, guys, the police that we have, our police are useless, man. All they know is to go around, you know, taking bribes from people. Is that all they know? This is wrong, man. Also, I blame these guys who moved all the way from KZN to you know, to East London, Eastern Cape, in solidarity and support to people of Eastern Cape. You know. But guys, I'm still asking, man. By doing what you did, okay, let's say this decision now, there is now already a reversal of this decision. That there's a king from Nigeria. You know, there's a reversal of that decision. Then what are we going to achieve, guys? By doing what you did. You are fighting for something that even if you were to be given, is not going to change your situation. Are people going to get employment by what you were going to do there? Are people going to, you know, there will be no poverty. People are still going to be hungry, man, after that march. Okay, they give you, you know, they reverse the decision that this guy was coronated. And then what? Will people, the natives will get their land? Will people get employment? You know? We know, guys, that most of these traditional leaders, man, I'm from KZN. Our traditional leaders, they own the land there. You know? They've got a Ngoyama Trust. But how is that helping the ordinary masses in KZN? Because now most people are migrating to Gauteng to look for a job. They leave KZN. They leave the king. You know, within Ngoyama Trust. All I'm saying is this, guys. Do people of KZN benefit from Ngoyama Trust? Do we benefit anything from, you know, traditional leaders? We are not benefiting, man. But we have energy to migrate all the way from KZN to Eastern Cape to fight this thing of coronation, so-called coronation of Igbo king. Simply because this guy has invaded. Okay, fine. It was wrong what this guy did. If indeed this thing was a coronation, it is wrong. You know. And Nigerians must stop doing this thing. This thing must come to an end. It is wrong. You can't go to another man's land and then coronate yourself as a king in a place that already has a king. it is wrong. I'm not against traditional leadership, guys. But all I'm saying is, this energy that the masses, have to go to attack that African who calls himself a king, or who did this thing, this coronation as a king. Why can't they use this energy, man, to attack the real invaders of this land, man? I'll still ask this question. Why? I was watching the news, guys. There's this guy from Western Cape. He's calling a referendum. He wants Eastern, Western Cape to be independent. What do you call that? Because this guy is also an invader. He's a settler, that guy. He's not an African. That guy is a descendant. He's probably a descendant of these guys who came to this country. We invaded this country. He's not a, this guy is not an African. So where are these people who are claiming to be fighting for illegality in this country? Who are claiming to be fighting against illegal immigration? Where are they? What are they saying about this? I know they are not going to do anything about it. Because as black people, man, we have inferiority complex. We are very scared of white people. All we know is to fight with each other. We are fighting for crumbs. I see some people here, some social media guys, uploading the March and March guys who went to Eastern Cape to march against the coronation of this king. Guys. But I still imagine if that guy who coronated himself, if it was not an African, if it was not a Nigerian, it was a white guy, were they going to go there? They were not going to go there. And some people now, they are tracking the EFF. I saw some guy who claims to be a member of EFF saying why EFF is silent about this thing of coronation of a king. This thing is invasion of land, blah, blah, blah. EFF is right. Keep quiet. If you want to keep quiet, EFF. You are right. It proves that you are not cloud chasers, man. You are not going to every time respond to anything. Because you are honest. We know the stance of the EFF when it comes to immigration. So why do you want to drag the EFF to this thing? Because this is not the EFF guys. They are advocating for, for wrong things, for illegality, for coronation of kings from other part of Africa to another. They are not calling for that. But all we know their stance, man. All they are calling for is the real attack to people who are real invaders of this country. This thing of this king, compared to what white people did to this country, is nothing, man. When you compare the two, the people who invaded this country, the people who dispossessed African people of this country, who dispossessed most black people of their land. If you compare this thing with what these guys from Nigeria were doing there, it's nothing, guys. The settlers did the worst in this country. And the sad part is that till today, now it's 2026, black people are still poor in their country. Black people still don't own the land. We own nothing. We stay in sheds. We have nothing. We're unemployed. Instead of fighting real fight, we are busy fighting, the small things about coronation of a king. Even if this guy was coronated there, you know, what that got to do with any guy from KZN? One will say, no, you are talking because you know nothing. This is how this thing starts. You know, before you know it, next time they're going to do it in KZN. So we need to come together. It's good what they did to fight with the people of Eastern Cape, you know, to give that support to deal with this thing. I know one will reason like that, you know. But guys, all I'm saying is this, man. This effort, this energy, you know, this damage that you have caused there was unnecessary. It is not again to say, you know, people shouldn't have raised their frustration about what has happened there. This is not to say people shouldn't have solved this thing. I think there is a way this thing could have been solved, man. You know, if what these Nigerians were doing there was alleged to have been indeed a coronation of a king, this thing should have been resolved in an amicable way. This is all I'm saying. You know, they should have solved this thing in an amicable way, man. This is just a little thing. It was not a big thing, man. It was not a big damage. You know, and I know, guys, some of you will be blinded by this thing of coronation of a king. This thing is deeper than that, man. As I've been asking that, guys, why there is this deep hatred towards these Africans? Why? So now people are using this thing of coronation of a king as a justification, you know, for what they've been doing to Africans. We know South Africa is known now worldwide as a country that is xenophobic. It's not even xenophobic, by the way, man. It's the use of this word xenophobic, I think, is a misnomer, guys. South Africans are Afrophobic. They have nothing. They don't have a problem with other races. They only have a problem with Africans, fellow Africans. We are known worldwide now to be a country that is Afrophobic. You know, we are known now as a country that is contributing to disunity of Africans. Africans will never unite because of the likes of, you know, the countries, the likes of South Africa, you know, the likes of countries like South Africa, like which is this other country, man, that has been complaining about fellow African immigrants. I think it's Ghana. You know, we are mentioned among these other countries. I think it's two, South Africa and Ghana. These countries are now known as the countries, we are known worldwide as the countries that are Afrophobic. Does that paint a good picture to, you know, to other countries in the world? Does it portray a good picture of this country, guys? This thing of delaying the unity of Africa in this continent. In Europe, guys, also there is a problem of illegal immigration. This illegal immigration is not unique to South Africa. But the residents there, they don't take the law into their own hands. Because they have a functioning state. They have the good cops who are dealing with those things. You know, in Europe, there are a lot of illegal immigrants, especially Africans. There are a lot. But you will never find these people, the residents of those countries, are taking, you know, the people in the streets or embarking on xenophobic attacks. You'll never see them doing that. Why? if the reason is that these people have efficient, state, so why don't we emulate what they are doing? Why can't we have an efficient state in this country? Because I know, guys, these people who are marching against illegal immigrants, some of them will be voting for the very government, this governing party. Coming local government elections, the ANC is still going to win. So guys, I'm really disappointed, man. I don't like what you did, man. Every time when you are angry, when you are frustrated by illegal immigrants, you are going to attack. You launch an attack on everyone. If you are frustrated by one Nigerian, so everyone now must be affected by your actions. Imagine Ethiopians are going to lose their shops. Some South Africans are going to have now already lost their cars. People have lost the buildings there. You launch an arson attack on innocent people. There's nothing interesting about what these guys did, man. It's an embarrassment. And it's written in history that you guys, you went all the way from KZN to go to Eastern Cape to do a mess there, to mess up Eastern Cape. You are continuing this culture of looting. You are lootist. Guys. I think if this guy, if indeed it's true that a Nigerian stepped one of the marshals there, they should have just caught that guy and called the police. Obvious. Not to do this thing of mob justice, man. They should have caught this guy and called the police. But instead, they launch an arson attack. They burn vehicles of people. They destroy people's business. It's like this thing, guys, if there's a mouse in your house, you then burn the whole house. Just because you want to deal with a rat in the house. Now you burn the whole house. Because that hooligan, they should have dealt with it, man. But obvious, how are they going to catch someone who do that if they didn't plan? Because they should have planned this thing. Before they go there, they should have planned. As I said earlier, they should have brought, the Q marshals. People who will be wearing the reflectors, who will be controlling, the marshals. As we've been seeing when politicians are marching, man. Guys, politicians, the way they march is excellent, man. You'll never see things like this. I remember last time, politicians joined hands to march against Jacob Zuma, to say Zuma must fall. We saw the leaders, they were walking, joining hands, at the forefront. And then we saw people alongside, aside, people were moving parallel. The marshals, men, we saw them walking. We didn't see these things of burning of cars, burning of, So do you think if the Q marshals, the people who were tasked to monitor that march, if they were there, this Nigerian will still step that guy? I don't think that was going to happen, man. Because I watch in Sydney, they know that we don't have the police, man. Our police are overwhelmed by the marshals. Every time they are overwhelmed. They are failing to do their job. So I think they should have done better, man, to prevent these things from happening. This is a disgrace, man. There's nothing interesting. The only people I think who support these guys, you know, who are happy for what has happened there, who are applauding these guys for what they did there, it's only people who are excited by chaos. People who believe in mayhem, you know. You know, people who like disorder, you know. This is embarrassing, man. I'm ashamed to call myself a Zulu guy, you know. And some of these Zulu guys who are very unhappy with Nigerians, most of them, they are incited by women. And you know why? Some of African women have dated these Nigerians. This is not to say I'm generalizing. I'm saying some. They have dated these Nigerians. These Nigerians have been giving them monies, you know, because they have money, these guys. They give them money. After that, they dump them. They give them kids, and then they dump them. So some of them, they have those crutches, man. So that's why they've been pushing, you know, men. You guys are not doing it. You know how manipulative women are, man. But you behave like you don't know women. You know, they incite men. In most cases, women, especially those who are hurt by Nigerians, they push men to go and attack these Nigerians. You know. So for them, you see, they are pushing their own agenda. You know, this is a revenge for them. So simply because they can't do anything, you know, they don't have power to fight back. They use men to fight Nigerians. You know, guys. And to those, I reiterate again, to those Nigerians who are selling drugs, you must stop it, man. If you don't stop, they must deal with you. You must be dealt with. But not by the masses. The lawful structures that are put in place to deal with criminals who are selling drugs in this country must deal with you, man. You know. All these Nigerians who are doing wrong things in this country, I don't condemn their actions, man. I have nothing to do with those people. But I think we must find a way to isolate them and deal with them in isolation. Because this thing of embarking on mashes, at the end of the day, these mashes end up affect innocent people. There are a lot of innocent, documented foreigners in this country. There are a lot of good foreigners in this country, African foreigners in this country, who are documented and who are innocent, who end up getting affected by these things, these marches that we embark on every day, guys. So I think also we must find a way to isolate these rotten ones. You know, because, guys, most people are offended by the fact that some Nigerians are selling drugs. You know, some are doing crime. You know, we understand that. We must find a way to isolate those people and deal with them without affecting the innocent, the good ones, and the documented ones. Because seriously, guys, really, this thing of mashing is not solving this thing. Instead, it affects the good ones. You know. So it's clear that the masses are failing to deal with this thing. Since they were not trained to deal with this thing, man. You know. Each and every time you bring the masses to go and demonstrate in attempt to deal with this thing, they are failing, man. And already going to fail because it's not their job. If you bring masses to the street, all the masses know is that every time you bring them to the street, it's their time to loot. That's all they know. You know, it's their time to be Afrophobic. You know, it's their time to have this disorder. You know, to be disorderly, to hurt people, to smash people's vehicles in the streets. That's all the masses know. You know. So I'm saying, if you are not going to stop doing these marches, aimed at attempting to solve this thing with the masses, it's either you bring them and then you monitor them. If you are not going to monitor them to prevent these things from happening, guys, just stop it, man. Find an alternative way to isolate those who are wrong, who are doing crime. You know, because I know it's a right. I'm also a comrade. I do march from time to time wherever I'm dissatisfied, you know, or I'm frustrated by something. I do march. I participate in marches, guys. You know, I'm not an elitist guy. I do march, man. But I don't believe that this thing of marching must now, you know, must now involve violence. You know, it must involve, you know, smashing people's vehicles, arson attacks. I don't believe in those things, man. So I'm talking to these guys who are organizing these marches. I'm saying it's either they proceed with their marches, but they must put measures in place to prevent these things, to prevent wrong things from happening. They must monitor the masses. If they fail to do that, you know, they must just find a way to isolate, you know, and deal with those ones who are doing wrong things. And leave the innocent ones alone. I'm speaking for those who are innocent, who are good, you know, who are kind, who are not doing crime, who are documented, you know. I'm really disappointed, man. I am an African, but I'm anti-Afrophobic, man. You know, let's find a way to deal with these things, guys. You know, political parties about Action SA, the likes of about Mkhonto Wesizwe Party, are beginning to distance themselves. They are regretting now for having participated in that thing. You know, as if they didn't know that this thing was going to happen. This thing was likely to happen, man. We knew that it was going to happen. After seeing this embarrassment worldwide, the world is watching South Africa doing these things. You know, we are shooting ourselves in the foot. We are expecting direct foreign investors to come and invest in the country. But at the same time, we are doing this thing. We are rendering this country unstable. You know, we are fearing, we are scaring the investors now. How investors are going to come and invest in a country where whenever the residents are unhappy, they will just loot. You know, there's no measures in place to deal with the wrong people. In whatever mess that they engage themselves in, everyone must be affected. It's wrong, man. Guys, let's stop this thing. It is wrong. Next time, let's do better, man. Please. We don't own this South Africa. Let's not talk as if we own South Africa. South Africa is owned by those who own the land. We are landless in this country. We are staying with rats in shacks. We are staying in the labor camps called townships. You know, we are suffering, man. Colonizers stripped ourselves. They stripped us of our dignity, man. You know. So instead of fighting those things, we are distracting ourselves by getting involved in black-on-black violence. Let's stop these things, man. You know, let's fight real fight. I still want to see these guys about going to fight white people there. Now they want the Western Cape independence. There is Orania in South Africa. There are white people who have their own land. You know how that land was obtained by those white people. Did they buy that land? Didn't they invade there? Were you there when they paid for that land? Didn't they dispossess some natives there of their land? Do you have a proof that they bought that land? You know, now they demarcated to say, here it's only this race. The other race is not allowed. In a land that you know how they obtained that land. You know, because you know most people are dispossessed of their land, man. But you don't fight all those things. Because it's white people is fine. Imagine if this thing of Orana was done by Nigerians. We're going to fold your arms and keep quiet, guys. I'm talking to you guys who are very concerned about this thing of illegal immigration in this country. Because this thing of illegal immigration is deep. It's dating back pre-apartheid, pre-colonization. Not just to take it on top. It is deep. If you want to deal with immigration in this country, let's go back to our history. You know, and see who are the real invaders, who are the real colonizers of this country. Not this thing of telling us about this thing of this guy who coronated himself. Okay, after coronating himself, that guy, what did he take? Whose land did he take? Who was dispossessed of their land by taking that, you know, not taking men, by coronating themselves? Who did they kill? Okay, after the reversal of a decision, what did you achieve? Did you get the land back? Did you get employment? Did this thing end your poverty? Come on, guys, man. Come on, man. Come on, guys. We can do better, man. Aye, man. No, we can do better. Let's stop doing this, man. There's nothing interesting. We're embarrassing ourselves, man. Imagine, guys, to prove that these guys knew that they were going to cause a mess there. These people who were at the forefront, they used Muti to shield themselves from whatever situation, whatever worst case scenario that can take place there. They anticipated such things from happening, man. They anticipated such things, that such things will happen. They knew. They anticipated this thing. So we saw them on videos, you know, using Muti. What were they using this Muti for? To shield themselves from whatever situation that can arise there. You know. But even to see, guys, how hypocritical these guys are. Why didn't they give this Muti to the masses? The masses went there. They were unfortified. Our Palum Tati, they fortified themselves. You know, they use Muti to protect and shield themselves from whatever attack. But they don't give this mood to the masses. Masses went there naked. You know, they were not fortified. That's why this guy, one of the marshals men, was stabbed there. Because he went there naked. You know, they are fortifying themselves. They are carrying the spears, carrying the, you know, nobkiris. All these traditional weapons, man, that we use when there's traditional weddings. You know, even chanting these war songs. And the West, you know, the West, that gets to my nerves, guys. Is these songs and slogans that you use against Africans, saying "Fuse kwere kwere, fuse kwere kwere," all these things. Why are you saying that, man? Saying Shanganese must go. You went there for the Nigerian specific to deal in the coronation, but now we speak of Shanganese. You know, I saw this lady from MK. I forgot her name, man. She used to be in the parliament, that woman. His song is from Kian, that woman. I don't know from Bush or Kian. You know, but he's a South African. You know, she was here on social media talking. She was very disappointed. Initially, she supported this march. You know, but after this march, she was disappointed. The way people behave themselves there, the songs that were sang there, you know, the slogans that were chanted there, you know, saying Shangane must go, Shangane must go. You know, it's like some people are blind. They don't see this thing. Because this thing was not specifically about the coronation of that Igbo king. This thing is just hatred. Most South Africans are Afrophobic. They don't want illegal immigrants, man. Not just illegal ones, even the documented ones. When they say Amashangana Wahambe, they refer to everyone. These songs were composed specifically for the removal of all foreigners, not just for a specific foreigner who doesn't have documents. No, that's not what these songs are saying. You know, because songs, guys, are powerful, and these slogans are so powerful, man. Don't take them for granted. When they sing "Futsek Kwarekore Futsek." That is very powerful, man. And if you look at it deep, it doesn't say "Futsek" only for those who are illegal, or only for those who are doing wrong things, who are doing crime. You know, they sing those things to include everyone. To say everyone, if you are not a South African, just leave. This is what these people are saying. You know. So then, as a political party, you claim to be subscribing to the Constitution. About Action SA, they are only disappointed later now. You say, no, we are not part of this. These things that these guys did, no, we distance ourselves. Where were you going? Because most social media people have been telling you that these guys, they are not about illegality. You know, this thing is a clear, you know, act of Afrophobia. And then because you are desperate for votes, you think since most people, they appear to, you know, resonate with this message of Abahamba, you think you are going to get votes. And then you get yourself involved in these activities, you know. So all of you guys, all of you political parties who were there, sorry, all of you who were there, who joined that march, you are not immune from what happened there. You know, you can make statements to distance yourself from those things, but you are not immune from there. We saw you on television wearing your regalias, you know, claiming to be patriotic, you know, fighting a good fight, fighting, you know, being close to the masses. So for what happened there, we are not immune, man. We are not immune from what happened, man. I said I don't want to prolix, guys. Let me end this video here. But I think you guys heard the message. In brief, I'm saying for what happened there, it was unnecessary. It was, you know, it was avoidable. It could have been resolved. This mess that happened, you know, we could have avoided this mess, man. It was avoidable. And there were ways to could have solved this thing of alleged coronation of a king. You know, there are many ways we could have solved this thing, man. Even the king who stays there, where this guy is alleged to have coronated himself, the king should have just sent a delegation to go call that guy who coronated himself to come and sit down and explain what is he doing. You know, because it's clear this thing is illegal. They shouldn't have done it, you know, without involving all these masses, man. So guys, I'm really disappointed, man. As a Zulu guy, I distance myself from these hooligans. All these guys, I'm referring to those who caused the mess there. You know, those who launched an arson attack, who looted all these, you know, shops there, who burnt people's properties there, who burnt and damaged people's vehicles. You know, I'm referring to them as hooligans. We distance ourselves as the Zulus, man. And you guys on social media, stop calling this thing, you know, as this thing was done by the Zulus. Say some, don't say the Zulus as if now you are including all of us. Not all of us are part of this mess, man. We are not part of this mess, man. We know who our real enemies are. We know who our, you know, who the real colonizers are. So stop involving us or including us in this mess, man. Stop saying the Zulus, the Zulus. You know, we're not part of this mess. I want to add this video here, man. I don't like to prolix, but I'm angry, man. Shout out to everyone, guys. Until the next one, don't forget to subscribe. I'm out.